Hello and welcome to Chapter 7. In this chapter, I'll feature three men who were in the nightclub and restaurant business. Mike Fritzl, Joe Jacobson, and Mike Lyman, the older brother of band leader Abe Lyman. Let's start with Mike Fritzl and Joe Jacobson, who ran the Chez Paree in Chicago. The Chez Paree was a Chicago nightclub known for its glamorous atmosphere and elaborate dance numbers and top entertainers. There's a complete list of who performed at the Chez Paree online. It operated from 1932 until 1960 in the Streeterville neighborhood of Chicago at 610 North Fairbanks Court. The club was the epitome of the golden age of entertainment, and it hosted musicians, comedians, dancers, and vaudeville acts. After reported financial problems, the Chez Paree was sold to a group of partners in 1949. In the films taken at my grandparents' Al and Mildred Epstein's residence in Palm Springs, California in the mid-1930s, we can see Mike Fritzl and his wife Janet.
Here's Mike Fritzl and Janet. Here's Michael and Eddie Cooper and Mort Callis. Eppie. Everybody had a good time. Behind Charlie Levy, on his right, Nancy Jacobson, Joe's wife. There's Nancy Jacobson.
But no footage of Joe. Maybe he was the guy behind the camera. Maybe he was camera shy. I looked all over the internet and could find only one photo of Joe, which is here. From that photo, if it really was him, I couldn't locate him in the crowd of friends in the Palm Springs home movies. And believe me, I've combed through that footage frame by frame many times over the last few years. I found this photo of the group standing by a plane, and from my dad's voiceover on Charlie Carell in Chapter 4 of this series, he said, "Charlie had a small plane down there, and one day he took us out for a ride out over the Salton Sea." In that photo shown here, I've identified from left to right Mike Fritzl and a man to his left who could be Joe Jacobson, but if this is Joe Jacobson, he doesn't resemble the only other photo I found of him online. It's a mystery. And to his left is Nancy Jacobson, and then there's Eppie wearing the hat, and my grandmother Mildred standing next to him. Janet Fritzl is kneeling in front of my grandmother, and next to her is an unidentified fella who in the home movies is playing the upright piano. Next to him is Lee Morrison, the wife of actor Chuck Morrison. And last in line is Chuck Morrison, with his signature pose of his hands around Lee's throat. It's the same with Mike Fritzl. Born Michael J. Fritzl in Chicago, Illinois, date of birth unknown. No photos of him online. Since Janet Fritzl is in most photos with Mike, I'd like to let you know a little bit more about her. Janet Wabick Fritzl was born in Chicago, Illinois, approximately 1914, and in the 1930s was a Chez Paree adorable as a dancer, where she met and married her boss, Mike Fritzl, who with his partner Joey Jacobson owned Fritzl's Chicago famous restaurant, the Chez Paree, and Don the Beachcombers. I'm not sure about Don the Beachcomber. I looked but did not see Mike attached to it besides being mentioned in Janet's obituary. But there was one in Chicago, as there were in several other cities. From the FBI file dated March 22, 1961, on the mobster Murray Humphreys, who was the chief political and labor racketeer for Al Capone's Chicago outfit, in reference to Mike Fritzl, the file says, has furnished information indicating that several Chicago hoodlums, possibly including Murray, frequent Fritzl's restaurant at State and Lake Streets in Chicago, Illinois. This informant advised that Fritzl's is owned and operated by, name redacted, who formerly was a partner of, name redacted, and in the days when he and, name redacted, owned and operated the Chez Paree, probably Chicago's largest nightclub, until it went out of business in the fall of 1960, the informant noted that, name redacted, and, name redacted, allowed a gambling casino to operate at the Chez Paree for many years, and that many hoodlums frequented the Chez Paree during those years. That's the end of the FBI file. If my dad hadn't identified these folks in his voiceover, no one would know who they were. The Fritzls remained friends of my parents for many years, and Janet even visited my maternal grandmother in New York City in this undated photo of them on the sofa, probably in the 1950s. According to Janet Fritzl's obituary, Mike Fritzl passed away September 28, 1956 in Cook County, Illinois. Mike Lyman was born Mike Simon on May 29, 1887 in Chicago, Illinois. He operated Mike Lyman's restaurant in Los Angeles, which was a major mafia hangout during the 1940s. His 3 restaurants in Los Angeles, Mike Lyman's Restaurant, Mike Lyman's Grill, and Mike Lyman's Flight Deck Restaurant at Los Angeles International Airport. Mike was another one who was camera shy. I could not find any photos of him on the internet. One blog says he was a vaudeville entertainer before becoming a prominent restaurateur. Mike had 3 brothers, Albert, William, and Abe, and 2 sisters, Sarah and Dorothy. Sarah was the oldest, and Abe was the youngest.
The man with the dark glasses and the cane is the older brother of Abe Lyman, Mike Lyman, who had cafes in different parts of the country and Los Angeles, and operated the very popular Mike Lyman's restaurant on Pershing Square, and then also at the airport in Los Angeles.
Mike Lyman died on November 29, 1952, in Los Angeles, California, and is buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California, in Los Angeles County, in the Garden of Memory plot, near his younger brother Abe Lyman. It's interesting that all 3 of these men have no photos of them online, other than a possible photo of Joe Jacobson. The only images are the ones in these 1936 home movies and the still photo by the airplane. I suppose that makes these images pretty rare.